Hey there. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about Linshire, what it is, what we're doing, and what this channel is all about, because I'm sure you probably have some questions. So here's what's going on. Linshire is a live action role playing adventure set in a fantasy world. You've probably noticed that from our other videos. It's entirely built by scratch by our family. It's kind of a labor of love. We just really enjoy putting on these events and sharing our stories with people. So we have dedicated several acres of our property to the development of a basically LARP adventure area. It's by no means professional. It is not even public. It's just a fun place where we go play with our friends, our family, and those who have been invited to participate. At this time, Linshire is unfortunately only available by invitation only. So, in real terms, outside of the game, Linshire is designed to provide creative play for all ages. That's kind of our objective, is to bring people together and give them an opportunity to play and explore and experience something completely different than what they may have experienced anywhere else in their lives. I know for us, when we started going to Evermore Park and experiencing this kind of LARP environment, it was completely foreign to us. And we've heard from a lot of the people that have been invited to participate that, this isn't something that normal people get to experience, running through the forest, looking for dragons with their kids and so on. So that's really at the core of what we do. We do host 4 to 6 different events per year, usually one a month, from the beginning of spring until the weather gets too cold to continue. They are all outdoors, so it is very weather dependent. We're doing what we can to try to cater to a wide range of play styles. So we do have, puzzles, physical challenges, things like that. The goal is to get people off their screens and engaging with each other in meaningful ways and creating those kinds of memories that you just can't really build in any other way. I know some of our favorite family memories come from experiences we've had during role play adventures like D&D, and this kind of off-screen LARP experience really just kind of takes that to another level. So we are inspired by Evermore Park. Maybe you've heard of that. I know we've talked about it in some of our other videos. I discovered Evermore shortly before it opened at a conference for YouTubers, ironically. They had a booth there and they had all their, props and prosthetics and all of the magic kind of set up there at CVX. And we fell in love with it before we ever got to the gate, just because the idea was so amazing. The idea that you could step into something like Lord of the Rings and experience that in real life was just awesome. So even though we weren't local to Evermore, we did stay after the conference to be able to go to their opening. And in a very real way, I think it was love at first sight for a lot of my family members to be able to go in there and do quests and meet the characters and see these just amazing things. We loved it so much, we eventually moved to Utah so that we could be a part of that community and attend it more frequently. And even though it wasn't open for very long and it has unfortunately closed, it has had such a profound impact on all of the different members of my family. Like, some of my kids are who they are today because of their experiences at Evermore. And while I know that we certainly can't live up to that kind of a reputation as far as, the amount of money that was invested there, the way it was opened publicly, those are things that we probably will not ever be able to achieve at Linshire. That is kind of the experience that we want to continue having as a family and that we want to offer to our friends as well, bringing people together in that kind of just amazing collaborative play experience. So that's where we draw a lot of our inspiration. Now, one of the things that really stood out to me at Evermore was how beginner friendly it was. There were certainly some things that probably could have been done better, but for the most part, it was expected and written into their story that you could walk in off the street and play. You didn't have to be dressed up in a costume. You didn't have to have an elaborate character. There weren't rules and stories to memorize before you could get in there and start. And that low barrier to entry really made it accessible for a lot of people, including me, because the first time I went there, I was so nervous. I couldn't talk to anybody. I didn't know how any of it worked. And it was nice to just be able to follow other people around and kind of push my kids at people and just eavesdrop on conversations and things, but it was written into their story that as a world walker, you could go in and experience that. And so that's something we've carried over into Linshire as well. We have it written into our story that the portal to Earth opens, people come in as they are. And that's been really helpful at making it more accessible and inviting to people who otherwise probably wouldn't come. When we invite new people to Linshire, one of the first questions we always get asked is, well, do I have to have a costume? Do I have to have a character? Are you going to make me dress up? And the answer is always no. Like, you can come in your street clothes. We're not going to make you have a character. In fact, we have a pretty sizable crowd of people that often just sit in or near the inn and talk to each other and enjoy the ambiance, and that's totally fine. We wanted to make sure it was as inviting as possible to as many people as possible. That being said, of course, we do have some rules, right? And the list of rules for Linshire has been constantly evolving as we have continued to do this. We're in our 3rd season, which seems really weird to say because I swear we just started doing this yesterday. But we are continuing to evolve those rules over time. But mostly we want people to come as they are. We want them to feel comfortable coming to explore. We don't want anyone to have any pressure to perform. We want to make sure it's interesting for all ages. That's one thing that's really important to us. We've created an environment where we get to see this awesome multi-generational play. There's been a couple of times where we've had grandkids, kids, and grandparents all together working on different quests and things. And I love to see that kind of engagement. When I do a lot of the game design, other members of my family are very story focused. They do really good with characters and things like that. I do a lot of the organizing of the games and the quests and the what are you going to do? What are the rewards going to be? What's the payoff sort of design? And I try to make sure that we always have games that'll be suitable for kids as young as 3 years old, all the way up to grandparents or older teenagers or adults who are going to want that really difficult kind of challenge, which has been an interesting challenge for me to try to design games that are going to accommodate that wide range of play scale. If there's any other LARPers watching this and you have any tips, I would love them, because that's probably one of my number one difficulties at this stage of our experience. Another thing that I felt like Evermore could have done better is they had quests. You could earn gold, but there was nothing to do with the gold. If you were ever at Evermore, you would walk around with a bag of rocks and there was nothing you could do with it. It was just weight to carry around. And that was something that we really wanted to fix. So Linshire has a very robust market that is probably every child's like dream. It's very similar to going to an arcade where you do quests, you earn gold, you take it to the market, you can buy treats, trinkets, treasure, all sorts of things back there. And we have some lovely volunteers who help run that. Instead of the spray painted gold rocks we began with, which is also something that we learned at Evermore, we have transitioned to using 3D printed coins, which has made a big difference because, and I mean, we saw that at Evermore too, where people would just spray paint all the rocks they wanted and come in and be rich. Not that there was anything you could do with it there. But since we do have that market, we have made that transition away from that kind of gold. So I guess the question is, what are we doing on this channel? Because I know if you've been subscribed for a while, first of all, thank you for subscribing to our crazy little adventure. But, you know, you've seen shorts with Argust and Moonlash mostly going around, experiencing the world, doing different things. That's our son, Jack. He really enjoys, ironically, he's culling right now. But he really enjoys that kind of story and character interaction. We've also posted some of the AI music that we've created, which is helping to tell the story of our world and our characters. And in a lot of cases, our past events, if you were paying attention to like the Pixie Pandemonium series, that was a very real event we had where a fairy came in and kind of poisoned the town with cupcakes. And I can tell you all about that later. But we've tried to create songs around that for various reasons. So we've posted a lot of that. But I'm realizing that more and more that the channel needs some more direction and more engagement, just so that you know and have a better idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. So my idea for what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be telling the stories of Linshire. First of all, because we have a lot of people who come to our events who don't know the story yet. And some of them are coming for the first time, and we're 3 seasons deep in a story arc. And I want everyone to feel very well oriented and as prepared as they want to be for the event the first time they walk in. So we'll be telling a lot of our stories here. For those of you who aren't able to attend, we're also going to be talking a lot about how we're building this, because this is easily one of the craziest things we've ever done, is building out these backyard adventures. And we're learning a lot along the way. And I would love to see more people step up and do the sort of things that we're doing. So I figure if we share the lessons we're learning along the way, maybe we can help more people get into this hobby and kind of learn things hopefully a little bit easier than we are. And then, of course, we also want to offer support for our players and community as well, which is a lot of what we'll be doing here as well. But that's what you can expect going forward. If you have any questions or thoughts about Linshire, I'd love to see them in the comments. If you've ever been able to attend, I'd love to hear what you think about those events. I know a lot of you who regularly watch our videos are those of you who come and participate with us. So thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here today, but I'm hoping over the next couple of days we'll be able to do some recaps of our recent stories and what we're